good evening, and thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Marion White, and with me is my co-host, Ken Bialo.
Yes.
Ken,
yes, Marian.
Thank you for your 4 years of service as mayor in the village of Larchmont, and your 11 years of service as a trustee on the Larchmont Village Board.
Ah, yes.
I consider those to be the golden years for the village of Larchmont. Well,
Are you going to own up to being on the village board and being the chairman of the chairperson of the Republican Party?
Well, it was a long time ago,
If you're
wasn't
not owning
it?
up, I get it. I get the long time ago business. Yeah.
Well, this is my favorite show.
Good. It's your favorite show on
because
TV?
we have our hats.
Oh, you're talking about the Christmas show.
Yes, the Christmas show.
All right. Does yours do anything funny?
Well, it wiggles.
Yeah. Watch this.
Well, you would win any contest, there's no question. How long can that go? For 30 minutes?
2 or 3 days. Okay. Enough.
Okay, enough.
All right. So much for all the silliness. Happy holiday season to you and yours.
Tell me about your Thanksgiving.
Yes. It was great. We had lots of people.
Okay.
We didn't have 2 shifts because we didn't have one sick baby and one healthy baby.
No, we had 2 sick babies.
2 sick babies
Yeah.
on the sick shift and
Yes.
one on the well
and
shift.
one healthy shift.
Okay.
Yes, so, so it was wonderful, though.
Good.
A good
Safe
time was
resort.
had by
Yes.
all.
Yes. And this is in the new and improved house, right?
Yes.
you had
Oh,
the
I
use of
had
all the
I hadn't
facilities.
cooked for 2 years. That was really nice. But I figure if you get a new kitchen, you're supposed to cook, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, I thought maybe I could get away with it.
Yes, but you didn't.
No.
Okay,
But it was great.
good. What do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, we were going to congratulate George Latimer. I think
Yes.
we mentioned that last time, but you know he's.
Did we? Was that after that show
he's-
was after the election?
I think so.
Oh.
He's friends to, you know, to both of us. We know
Yes.
him and have known him
Yes.
over the years, and he's actually an honorary Rotarian, and he even showed up to just after he was elected. He showed up at Rotary, so I was
I
very
hope he
impressed
stops
with
doing
that.
that. I hope he stops doing that.
It's a good lunch. No, it was nice that he was still being the same person.
Yes.
You know.
But now the job involves more, it seems to me, more in-office time and less wandering around time. So let's hope.
Well, yes, he certainly will have a lot on his plate. There's
Yep.
a lot going on in Westchester.
Yes, there is.
So, then someone that we were fond of, Knudsen, has been a familiar face around Larchmont in the summer months for, I don't know, 30 or 40 years,
yeah,
probably.
25 or 30 years.
Yes. And unfortunately,
He is the dad of Ron Knudsen, sergeant in the Larchmont Police Department. was.
and well liked
Very well
by,
liked.
you know, I've served pizza next to him at Chatsworth. So
He's a terrific guy.
he's a wonderful person. I did see him today, and he said that his father passed quickly with no pain, so that part was good. But if you see Ron, you know, it
Express
would be
your-
nice to
yes.
tell him.
Yep.
So I know one of the things that really impressed you was this 7-color, I think you called it. I mean, you are
at least 7
really
colors.
a professional on these things. And it came from our own village of Larchmont, from the mayor. Did you have a mayor thing that you sent out?
Yep. We had I think it was quarterly.
It was black and white, right?
It was a blueprint and white. Yeah.
Okay, 2
And,
color.
and we were very concerned about the budget for that because we didn't want to overdo it on account of it was chargeable kind of directly to the mayor and the board and chargeable to the budget. And nobody in those days, we didn't call it out. We didn't call it austerity. We called it watching other people's money, and not watching other people's money go out, but watching other people's money in the way it was spent. And I have to say, my reaction to this was, "Are you kidding?" Slick paper, 4 pages. Ours was
Lots of
might have been
photographs.
ours might have been 4. Yeah, ours might have been 4, but ours was blueprint on a white background. We didn't have color photos. We didn't have slick paper. I haven't seen the village budget lately. I'm not sure they make it public anymore unless you go in there and sign away your life, because they don't want you to know what they're spending. I'm gonna guess they're spending between $15 and $17 million a year to run the same village that when we started in '91, cost about $4.5 or $5 million to run.
Wow,
Yeah.
was that low? Wow.
Well, it's 25 years, and people
Yeah.
will say, wow, 25 years at 3% rate of inflation is going to take that 5 million up to 8 million, or 9 million. But how did we get to?
Before you know
how
it.
how did we get to 7, whatever the number is? I'm just guessing. One of the ways we get it is by people not paying any attention to spending money on, you'll forgive me, stupid things like the village newsletter. Right?
Well, it
which,
has
wait a second, at the beginning this is the good news from the mayor is that, what is it, they said, businesses opened in the last 18 months. And if you look at this and you've been around town for more than a week, you know that these aren't new businesses. Many of them are old businesses. Some of them have moved, some of them have changed owners, but there's not a lot to say about new businesses. But better yet, guess what kind of businesses we have? We have more hair salons. Why would you put this on the front page? We have more cleaners. We have more hair salons.
Do we have more bars?
Well, let's see. We have we have this, and we have
there's
two
a restaurant
restaurants.
in there,
Two
yeah.
restaurants, yeah, 2 restaurants. And I don't know what some of these things are because you couldn't get that from the name, right? We have spas and fingernail salons.
More
Please.
fingernail salons?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's not a way to have a process
So I mean,
downtown,
first,
I don't
yeah,
think.
first of all, to brag about that on the first page of the thing is like, what planet do you come from? But the expense of putting this together, and I don't know who does the printing, and I don't know who does the layout, and so on. I can tell you, I don't know, ours maybe for a whole year cost $2,500. I don't know what this costs, and I don't know how often this is sent out, but I gotta say that this looks to me like a very expensive waste of money.
Well,
But it's not as much waste as putting parking enforcement in a new $40,000 Jeep. That's different. That's
Tell us
honest.
about that.
I don't know. I saw it on the street the other day. There were 2 parking enforcement Jeeps.
2?
2.
That are new?
I don't know if they're both new. I can tell you that
Oh
one of
my.
them was a Jeep, big Cherokee, Grand Cherokee thing, something like that.
And parking
It
enforcement
says parking
needs-
enforcement on this. Parking enforcement is 2 vehicles. Remember, we used to fuss about whether the parking enforcement guys should walk or they should use extra police cars, because we always had like 7 or
Right.
8 police cars, but only 4 were on the road or 5 were on the road at any time.
Right.
So what was wrong with that? No. We have a special car now that has 2 special cars that have parking enforcement on there. And unless I'm sadly mistaken, which is entirely possible, one of those, at least the one that I saw broadside on Chatsworth Avenue, is an expensive car. It's an you go to buy that car without the paint job, right? You're going to pay, I'm guessing 30, 35, 40,000 bucks. Big old Jeep Cherokee. And that's stunning. What are they thinking? We can't meet the tax cap. We print garbage like this. We can't meet the tax cap. We have to put the parking enforcement officers in fancy Jeeps.
Well, wait, there's another really interesting thing on page 3.
What?
A fresh look at parking in the village. Now, every 10 years, there's a re-looking at parking, right?
I bet it's the same parking lot.
I mean, it's just amazing, but they've retained BFJ Planning to
Oh.
assist us.
Well, that's going to be great.
While the village has evaluated parking before, endlessly, this is a broader approach which will assess parking capacity,
Yes, read the rest of that.
space occupancy and turnover, zoning requirements, permit structure, enforcement, parking lot design, and wayfinding. What is wayfinding? How you go from here to there? The obvious challenge is that the space used for parking is finite and used by several different stakeholders: residents, shoppers, merchants, employees, and commuters. The project will consider paid parking as a tool to increase turnover in the commercial district and to provide a new non-tax revenue stream. So that's going to be parking meters, I would guess. Don't you think?
Well, I'm not going to comment until you finish reading what you want to read. Because this is hysterical.
Well, there are just lots of stakeholders. And so they're going to be talking to people, and BFJ people might just come up and talk to you on the street and ask you about your parking experience.
Does it say what this contract is going to cost?
Well, no.
No. No. How can that be?
But they're paying people to come and walk up to you and ask you.
How can it be that they would brag about a parking study? This is news, right? Parking study is news because nobody's ever done this. While they've been done before, nobody actually thought. We never thought for a second of merchants' employees. We never thought about commuters, shoppers. Holy smoke, these guys are geniuses. How did they come up with that list? This must have required endless thinking and discussion by the geniuses on our village board, who then are going to give this out to some consulting company that's going to come in with a blabbermouth, ridiculous report saying, we have like 7 parking lots and they have this many spaces and people are in them sometimes, and sometimes they're not. And if you go down Pomeroy Avenue, you're looking for a parking spot on Saturday morning, you won't find one. Oh no, this is such news. You remember what we did? We opened up the deck. We opened up the deck for free parking on Saturdays and Sundays.
You did that.
I did. We did that. It was the most obvious thing. Yeah, I don't know, genius. It's the most obvious thing to do. It's pre-existing. It's already paid for, and the revenues come directly to the village. So we owned it. We do own it, and we operate it, and we can say Saturday and Sunday is free parking. So if you want to take the train down to Manhattan, knock yourself out, park up there for nothing. If you want to go shopping on Pomeroy Avenue and you cannot find a spot directly, immediately in front of the single store that you have to go into, which of course is everybody's objective, right?
Yeah.
The pollution levels are ridiculous because people go round the block. I need a spot right there. Park over on the deck. You have to walk.
Which is good for you.
Yes, a block and a half to get to Pomeroy Avenue. Then you can turn left or turn right and go across the street. At every village board meeting, at the beginning of the board meeting, the last thing that I said in my mayor comments was, and these weren't 11 o'clock at night. These meetings were early in the day. People came in and they
spoke the first thing.
They spoke first thing, and we had open Saturday morning meetings. We didn't hide anything. Everybody, these guys, good luck. Find out the price of this. I dare you to find out the price of this contract. But so at the beginning of every meeting, it was, don't forget, there's free parking. Do you think that people actually use that? I would like the BJRJQR company here to go and look at how many people park there and go shopping. Nobody. Why is that? Because first of all, we have now decided that we're going to have farmers there on Saturday mornings. You can't park there. So,
well, part of it you can't park.
Right.
You
so
can
farmers,
park farther away.
You can park further away. So if you can't get people to park at the Chatsworth Avenue end of the lot, how are you going to get them to park halfway up to the Marian, right? So I mean, this you would think that there was something new or different or original, or somehow the electronic whizzes of Silicon Valley had figured out a way to take one parking spot and convert it into 10. That would be good. That would be news. And then these consultants, for their whatever they're getting for this contract, would have something to contribute. Look what we found. We found this. But to hire consultants to go over the same ground for the new people in town, because the old people clearly don't know anything. We didn't know what we were doing. The only people who know anything or the current administration. They're the ones who've got their fingers on the pulse of the civilization.
The young people.
Oh, they're very smart. They're very smart. Oh, please. It really is just ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And I wish that they had the courage to put in there what they're going to pay for this study.
Well,
but you know what, the upshot of the result of a study done by any consultant on any issue that you in municipal government can hire them for is exactly what you want, but put into words that make it seem like what you're saying is very smart.
Well,
so they already know the conclusion. I can tell you they know the conclusion.
Which will be parking meters.
Parking meters, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So now it's going to be more of a pain in the neck.
Now you can blame them and not the board, because they will advise the board
And they're going to
parking
say,
meters.
this is what we need. You need parking meters.
Yes.
And the board will say, oh my goodness, what? That's so smart. Let's pay him $50,000. How smart that was. And then everybody who comes to the village is going to have a pain in the butt finding the meter, just exactly as it is in New York. I know I park on the street in New York when I go to New York. The multi-space meter, you got to park the car, then you got to walk up the block, then you got to come back to the car and stick the tag in the window. If you do that in Larchmont, I predict you will have even fewer shoppers than you have now. And the consequence, so you start charging for parking. What about the lot on Went Avenue, right? Between Went and Larchmont Avenue. You start charging for parking and people will be wondering why they are shopping in these places. The only businesses that will survive.
To Westchester, well, they
that's
pay there, I guess, but
the nail salons,
yeah.
dry cleaners,
Oh,
right? The
okay.
2 service businesses.
Oh, right, to just drop something off.
That's right. Yes. But those are it's going to be a nightmare. And then if you require that the dropping of the coins, right, in the evening, the restaurants will suffer. So you got service businesses here. You have no anchor businesses. There's nothing here that attracts anybody from Scarsdale.
Right.
Why would you come here? The traffic is terrible. Right? There is, in case you haven't noticed, no parking unless you park in the lot upstairs at the railroad station. It's very difficult to find a spot. And what are the businesses here? I mean, really, you have a few curiosity shops, a few interesting shops, but there are 230 storefronts in the village. 230 storefronts in the village. And I defy you to find 5 magnets that bring people in from
Lusardi's
other
would be
places.
one.
Yes, Lusardi's would be one, but I don't know what their daytime business is. Certainly at night,
Right.
and they provide their own parking at night.
Yes, free parking.
Yeah, exactly right. So they've solved the problem. They don't need you, whoever you are, BJ, RJ, Q. We don't need you. You know, if you have a way, if you have a will, you'll solve the problem.
Yeah.
But this is just, in my mind, an awful. It's a charade. It's a charade to do something that somebody has said they should do. And I don't know whether it's the village administrator or it's the mayor or somebody whispering in the mayor's ear from her Democrat Party or what it is. The idea of parking meters in the village is a bad idea. If you take any of the commuter parking away, you will reduce the value of the homes here because people will not be wanting to come out to suffer the subway or the Metro North to get out here and then find yourself fiddling around with a meter. I'm talking about the village lot. I'm not talking about the deck lot, which has been from the beginning a metered lot. You buy a decal and then you pay for
Right.
it on a daily, as needed basis. So you don't have to spend $400 or $600 for the whole year.
Yeah, no, that's what I do for my Monday nanny job.
Yeah, exactly, for your Monday nanny job. So that works. That works. But if you start charging the commuters on the village side by meters, you're just going to encounter, I think, a horrendous backlash. And these current people in office won't be around to see it, right? They'll be gone, and it'll be somebody else's problem. And then the home, it's, in my mind, just creating a maelstrom, a vortex of garbage.
Well, it's going to be something to watch, isn't
my
it?
goodness, yeah.
It is funny. I mean, the problem in the village that just doesn't go away is parking. And so then every 10 years there's some effort and nothing gets done.
It's because there's no
nothing
corporate
changes.
memory.
Right. Except for old folks like us.
Yeah, well, I mean, when Eileen was the clerk, Eileen had lived
Oh,
through
right.
all this stuff, and she could tell you where the bodies were buried on this. Why wasn't this done? Answer, because blah, blah, blah. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. So it was good to have an institutional
Where
memory.
is Eileen Finn when we need her? She's line dancing. I love it. She's such a good line dancer.
She's good at that.
So one of the things I read is they're starting to talk about Cuomo running for president in 2020. And
Which we've been talking about for about 2 years.
well, I guess his first term he sort of laid low and he tried to work with Republicans and stuff.
Make it appear.
And then now in his second term, he's not working with the Republicans, and he's criticizing Trump, and he's going off to Puerto Rico, and you know, just trying to have a national profile.
Yes.
So that probably he'll run for a third term. But he'd said before that if he could accomplish everything he needed to accomplish in 2 terms. But now that's not being said. So, except what's interesting is that he's really not on any short list. You know, because no one, the article says no one in New Hampshire really cares about a New York governor. So,
Okay.
So he's probably going to try to win, but probably won't make it.
All right. Well, that's you're a couple years out, right? This is 2017 going on 2018.
Right, he'll run in 2018.
He'll run in 2018 for governor.
Right.
He will win if he can out-left Bill de Blasio.
You think de Blasio could become governor?
Depends. You
Oh
know, the
my
Democrat Party in
gosh.
New York State just has moved way left.
Wow.
And the National Democrat Party, you can't even find them
Right.
anymore, right? You can get your goggles on, your binoc, see if you can find how far left they went. But these guys have been dueling with each other off and on for what, 4 years, 5 years? When de Blasio just got reelected, so this must be
Right.
at least 4 years of public dueling.
Right.
No love lost. And then this week it started again. You know, my reaction to that is if the governor could get the trains running and he could get the subways running sort of on time as opposed to the usual 5 minutes, 10 minutes in every different direction, stop here, stop there. If he could get that stuff working, he'd have a real solid platform. I raised taxes and I spent a lot of money, but at least it was well spent. Things work.
Well, he's building stuff, so he can point to bridges and Amtrak
What?
or
I
whatever.
built a bridge and I named it after my dad? You think that's going to play in Nebraska? I guess it
Well,
doesn't
you're
matter
right.
what plays in Nebraska. I mean, the coasts and Illinois. I mean, once you got
Okay.
that settled, you know, you're left with Florida and North Carolina.
Well,
and,
but remember,
Pennsylvania and
you
Ohio.
know, Trump won with all that other stuff.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
But you have to convince the people in Pennsylvania and Ohio
Right.
and Wisconsin and maybe Michigan and Florida, right? And I don't know about the Carolinas at this stage in the game. Certainly North Carolina's more wishy-washy. You have to convince them that it was great to spend $5 billion for a toll that will be who knows what, $18 or $20 a day, right? And name the bridge after your dad. This was okay. This wasn't overreaching. It wasn't me trying to pat myself on the back or the Cuomo
Does
family.
he have the right to name the bridge?
I think the legislature voted for it
Oh my
because
gosh.
he gave some Republican guy $10 million for a museum that the guy wanted in the Mid-Hudson area, and got that vote, and then it got passed in the Senate. I mean, it's Albany.
I wish we could go back to Washington. And Adams.
George.
Yes, George. Where it wasn't just, I'll give you this to get that. You know, I think that's a
Name the
shame.
bridge. I mean, really. So,
So, what's your take on life?
what does that mean? How much time do we
We
have
have
left?
5 minutes.
We have 5 minutes left. Do you
We
want
have
to
to
talk?
get our hats on soon.
We do have to get our hats on. Do you want to talk about this newspaper? The Journal News. What a pitiful rag. And with reporting that is just so one-sided and simple-minded. The county tax levy of $548 million helps fund the county's $1.8 billion budget. They say that without any explanation. You would have no idea what that actually means. Okay. County taxes comprise between 15 and 18% of a property owner's tax bill. What planet is this turkey living on? The person who wrote this, who shall
That's
remain
not true?
a nameless turkey. Go look at your bills. Go look at your bills. In this area, school taxes are 52, 53%. Village taxes are
25?
22 to 25, and county taxes are 22 to 25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't
And they
realize.
said, well, but that includes the sewers and the judicial and all those other things. That's the county tax bill.
Right.
All right, that's what you get. It's not 15, 18% of tax. On a house valued at $500,000, which pays $23,000 in property taxes, which if you told that to anybody living in any other state in the union, except for California. It would make them laugh, right? The county tax would be about $1,700. A 3% increase is $52 a year. I remember these arguments when you and I were running in the very beginning in 1991, and then we ran again in 93.
The town of Marian.
Yes. Oh, it's only $10. It's
Yes.
only $50.
No big deal.
No big deal. And it's kind of like there isn't a slippery slope which says if you can grab $52 more, that you might grab $100 more, or you might grab $300 more, or $700 more. And it's
Well, because the thing is, percentage-wise, it might have been a 7% increase,
yes.
but it's only $10.
Exactly right, and it sounds so easy. Why
Yes.
would you complain about a $52 increase? Here's the answer. I complain about a $52 increase because you complain about any increase. What are you doing differently? Why do you need that? How do you manage your business? If you managed your business to avoid tax increases like Rob Astorino did, then you could avoid tax increases. If you don't manage your business that way, and it's not your priority, then it's not going to happen. It doesn't happen by accident. But for the newspaper to say, well, it's only, gee whiz, it's only $52. Why would anybody
A
complain?
politician should say that, not a reporter.
Yes,
Because there is a counter, so what kind of percent increase is it?
yes. And
know,
what are you
there's
doing?
nothing.
And why do you need it?
Right.
And how about justifying it? How about these guys say, this is how much this contract is going to cost to give the answer that we already want on parking, right? Justify it. Bring it out to the public. You say, this is how much we're going to spend. Let's see what the public's answer is. Gee, if you spend that on a Jeep and you spend that on a study and you spend that here and you spend that there, $1 billion here, $1 billion there, right? Everett Dirksen, soon it's real money.
Well, now we have to say something cheerful.
Okay.
We're winding down. Happy holidays to everyone.
And to our staff, the people who
to
actually
the
run this
talent,
place, and
yes.
to Dina, and,
Yes, Dina
and
especially.
Austin, and Lisa,
And Missy.
and Missy.
And-
Thank you all.
And we miss you, John Baldwin. But we think of you every show.
Have a great holiday season, and a great holiday season to you.
That head is ridiculous.
Hoops and yo-yo.
Thank you all. Happy
Oh,
holidays.
stop.